and they keep unlocking profit with ManageEngine Solution. We're pleased to have you join this session today. It promises to be an insightful session because this is one of the flagship product ManageEngines actually sell in the market, and it actually sells in the market. Endpoint Central is our top, the solution we're going to treat today, and is more like a 5-in-1 solution. And those 5-in-1 solution are actually can be sold as a standalone. So it's an opportunity for you to understand 5 solution of ManageEngine at a go, right? So we on the ManageEngine Endpoint Center has to have to let me put say 2 platforms. We have the management platform and the security platform. So people are very much aware of the management platform, but a little partners are actually much aware of the security platform. So today we're going to deep dive into the management and the security platform of the Endpoint Central. And in order to do this, we have our senior technical engineer, Anurika. You know her very well. She did the presentation on the 8360 yesterday. She's going to dive us to the Endpoint Central, the management and the security edition, right? So please feel to ask questions if you want. We'll also give a time slot through which you can make a call to and ask question. You can also use your chatbot and your Q&A bot to ask question if you have any clarification. We'll be happy to answer your question. Also, just to let you know that the recording of this presentation will be shared with everyone that participates in this training at the end of the webinar. Thank you very much. Anurika, please share your screen so that we can proceed.
Yes, good morning, everyone. How are you all doing? Hope I'm audible enough. Can you all hear me? Please, I need your comments of your chats. Pause. Okay. Yesterday we talked about the ManageEngine IAM solutions, where we discussed about the 2 solutions that fit into that category, which is the PAM 360, the Privileged Access Management Solution, and the AD 360, Active Directory 360, for managing your Active Directory activities. So today we are going to be looking at the Endpoint Management Solutions, which is also a ManageEngine flagship solutions. There are a lot of opportunities in the market for ManageEngine, a lot of opportunities, because Nigeria is very populated and there are lots of enterprise organizations that need these solutions to actually make the operation seamless. So Endpoint Central is one of them. It's one of the flagship solutions that ManageEngine has. Endpoint Central, ManageEngine Service Desk Plus, the IT operation solutions, the IAM solutions, which we talked about yesterday. So this ManageEngine Endpoint Central solution is an endpoint, from the name Endpoint, is an endpoint management solution that helps to manage your servers, your laptop, your endpoints, your smartphones from one central location, all from a single console. So you don't need to have separate application that does just mobile phones alone. You don't need a separate application that does laptops and servers. So all these things are consolidated into one platform. So it helps the IT administrator to ensure that the security posture in the environment is high, thereby ensuring that all the T's are crossed and I's are dotted in terms of security. So Endpoint Central is a unified endpoint management solution that helps in managing servers, laptops, endpoints. Your endpoint can be your servers, laptops, also your smartphones, your tablets, even POS, anything running on Windows, Mac OS, Linux operating systems can be managed using Endpoint Central. So it automates your endpoint management, such as installing patches, deploying softwares, deploying OS images, and remote control. So, for example, if you come to an organization, one of the, let's say, repetitive tasks of support or help desk technicians is always software installation in users' endpoints, software installation, installing patches, um, getting the inventory, because every now and then they would note, they would like to take stock, the inventory of all the hardware they have, the softwares that all the users in that particular organization use. And doing all these things manually is time consuming and it can be very tedious. So Endpoint Central can help you to automate all these processes, all those regular endpoint management routines can help you to do that. And with a lot of report generation, it can generate a report in all those activities that is happening within your endpoint. So for Endpoint Central, it manages different OSs. So it supports the Windows OS, the Mac OS, the Linux OS. Then in terms of mobile devices, you can manage Android phones, iOS devices, your Windows tablets and phones, and Chrome OSs. So even POS running on any of these platforms can be managed, even ATMs too. So it's not just restricted to only servers and laptops. So it manages POS, it manages ATM machines too. So it ensures that your entire network is secured by always scanning through those your endpoints to identify if there is any vulnerabilities in your environment. If there are one, to remediate those vulnerabilities. And we can all see that from that dashboard. So you can manage remote offices using Endpoint Central too. What remote office means is that when you have different branches, when you have presence in several countries or different locations. So let me use a bank for an instance. All the commercial banks, most of the commercial banks we have in Nigeria have presence in different countries and different states. So managing their endpoints, their computers, their servers are possible using Endpoint Central because it will consolidate all the machines that they have. Instead of you having Endpoint Central application, maybe in one of the branch outside the country and having different Endpoint Central applications scattered all over the states. You can use one and create a remote office and manage those your branch locations. So that's why it's called unified. It consolidates everything in one platform. So it secures all types of endpoints and it helps secure endpoints 24/7 and you obtain all the data in a single dashboard. So we have different features of Endpoint Central. We have different features of Endpoint Central, and Endpoint Central is being categorized into two. we have the endpoint management, and we have the endpoint security. So I know we'll be talking, this is not the first time we'll be doing webinar on Endpoint Central, but most of our webinars are focused on the endpoint management. Well, would I say as of 3 years ago or 4 years ago, ManageEngine introduced the endpoint security. So for endpoint management, which you are seeing on the screen right now, it performs desktop management, it's being categorized, desktop management, mobile device management. We have the OS deployment, we have the modem management. So under the desktop management, you'll be able to see the patch management. So Endpoint Central helps to helps IT admins to update, to automate the patch deployment processes. So patching means when you want to actually install a particular fix or a bugs or security update that either Microsoft or any of those operating system has released to ensure that your endpoint is always secured. You know, hackers always exploit all these vulnerabilities. They're always looking out for systems that are vulnerable. And systems that are vulnerable means that maybe they're lacking patches, there are some configurations that are not being done, or there are lots of system misconfiguration or port opening. So they like exploiting, looking out for these vulnerabilities so that they can use that to penetrate into the organization's environment. And once you don't have your systems up to date or being patched, it's one of the loopholes. So with this application, you can be able to automate that process. So there is no manual patching that is involved, even though it has the manual feature. But for you to be able to get value, ensure that things, operations are working, everything is working effectively, you need to automate the process so that every now and then you don't need to come to this application to push patches. It will help you to identify systems that have some patches missing on them. It will test those patches before it will be deployed to the production environment. So that's for patch management. We have software deployment. So this is one of the regular activities that IT support or help desk technicians do in their workplace. This is one of their job roles, deploying softwares. And you know, deploying softwares, you need to go to that system physically to do that. That can be time. Imagine you deploying softwares across maybe 1,000 systems, or let me even say 50 systems. It's going to be very tedious. That means you need to go to this place, install, then move to another place to install. It will even disrupt production or whatever the user is using their laptop to do. So it will disturb or disrupt those operations. Well, with Endpoint Central, you can just those softwares silently. It's called silent installation. Users will be aware that softwares are being deployed to their environment and it's not even going to cause any disruption in their work. So we have the asset management whereby you know the details of the hardware or software present in your environment. Instead of you going via the traditional route, maybe spinning up or bringing up an Excel sheet, entering all the computers that you have, the hardware details. And the hardware details is not just restricted to only knowing the computer name or the Windows OS or the OS running on that system. It will give you the details of the hard drive, the memory, the RAM, the manufacturer, and the like. So it will give you all those details, in-depth details of the hardware and software that you have in a particular system. So we have the configurations management, which is still under the desktop management, which helps you to push policies. You know, there are a lot of policies that are being pushed to endpoint to ensure that that your environment is secured. Policies such as USB restrictions, wallpaper changes, and the like. So you can, all those policies that can be done through your native GPO can be done through the configuration management. and you'll be able to see the deployment status of those policies that you pushed. So that's the beauty of it. So we have the remote control, whereby you can access those computers remotely for troubleshooting purpose. And we have the power management, whereby you'll be able to know the system uptime and downtime. How long has this system been up? How long has this system been down? There are lots of users that doesn't like shutting down their systems. I know that is not good for the computer health. So it's not advisable. So you need to be shutting down your system if it is not production system. Like system or servers hosting production application, enterprise applications. So you'll be able to see how long the system is up, that's the system uptime, the system downtime, the battery percentage, all those things can be seen when the system was up, when you actually started your system, when you shut down that system. So there will be timestamp for all these activities. So the next is the OS deployment. So with this application, you can be able to create an image of a particular system and then deploy to the target systems. So OS imaging, just see OS imaging as a backup, a full backup of a system. That's the basic way of explaining OS imaging. Like you want to back up whatever that is in this system, both the OS, both the applications on that system, even the local users on that system, the profiles and everything. It will back it up for you, and we are just carrying that backup to slam on another system instead of you spinning that system or starting from afresh. That's what OS deployment is all about. So with this application, you can be able to perform OS deployment, and it is hardware independent. Hardware independent means that you can create an image for Dell and for a Dell computer, and you can use that image on a HP laptop, or you can use it on a Lenovo laptop. So it's hardware independent. So that's what OS deployment is all about. We have the mobile device management, whereby you can manage your mobile devices. Any device that is mobile is called mobile device. It is not just restricted to your mobile phones. Your laptop is a mobile device. Your tablet is a mobile device. Your POS too is a mobile device. So any device that is mobile and runs the OSs that I mentioned earlier can be managed through Endpoint Central. So the next is the modem management. So under the modem management, you can perform geo-tracking on those mobile devices. You can perform corporate or complete wipe. So if a user reports that their device is missing or they lost their device, you can initiate a complete wipe. That means you wipe off all the data on that mobile device, or you initiate a corporate wipe. Corporate wipe means only the data pushed when you started managing that endpoint using Endpoint Central will be deleted. So you can also configure kiosk mode. Kiosk mode means restricting the number of applications that you want present on those mobile devices. So you can distribute applications. This Endpoint Central can integrate with Play Store, iStore, Apple, Play Store, App Store. I've forgotten the one for Windows Store app distribution. You can integrate it with those platforms and distribute all the application on those particular store to those managed endpoints. You can distribute profiles. Profiles means all the security that needs to be put in place for those mobile devices. You can set it up and distribute them to those mobile devices. So these features are what is available under the Unified Endpoint Management. Remember, I said that the Endpoint Manager Plus is Endpoint Central is categorized into two: the Unified Endpoint Management and the Unified Endpoint Security. So this is the supported OS. So you can manage Mac, you can manage Windows, Linux, Android, iOS, and Windows Mobile and also Chrome OS. There is this another OS called Chrome, so it manages all these OSs. So any device running on these operating systems can be managed using Endpoint Central. So we have the patch management feature. So under the patch management feature, you can automate the patch deployment. You know, the process of patch deployment used to be you like the traditional way of patching systems is you going to that system, going to Windows Update. If it is a Windows system, you just type Windows Update on your settings, it should come up, then you initiate that patch deployment to that system, and your system will be up until that patch has been installed successfully. But all those processes can be done automatically when you use Endpoint Central. So the process of patch management is the first of all, scan your system, those systems that you're managing, scan the systems, detect those missing patches. After detecting, you have to test it. Because if you're in an enterprise organization, pushing patches that are not being tested is, will I say, very dangerous. It is very, very dangerous because it can affect some systems, and then it's affecting system means affecting the operations, the business operations. So you need to test your patches. That's the recommended practice for patch deployment. So you need to test and approve. So after test and approve, you can then deploy to your production environment. So all these steps that I just mentioned can be automated using Endpoint Central. So it supports Windows, Mac, Linux, and also third-party patches. It also does that. It automates antivirus updates. It tests and approves patches before deployment. It can also decline patches. So if there are some applications that once you upgrade them, it wouldn't give you that exact function that you're looking out for. So for those kind of operations, you can decline patches for those applications, you can decline them. So you can just go to the decline patch and decline all those applications that you don't want to patch or update. So with under the patch management, you can also get the system vulnerability report and system health report. That will give you the security posture of the systems you have in your environment. How many systems are vulnerable? How many systems are healthy? How many systems are highly vulnerable? So from there, you can take an informed decisions, because sometimes some systems would have reached end of life, and once a system reaches end of life, you won't be able to perform any patching on that particular system. So it will give you those kind of reports, and from there you're going to take an informed decision on what's next to do. So I've been talking about managing endpoints. So the first thing before you can be able to utilize all these features that I'm mentioning here is to add those endpoints to the application. So we have different ways of adding those endpoints. Adding those endpoints involves you to install agents on those endpoints, on your servers, your laptops. So it involves you installing agents. So this application is an agent-based application. It's not agentless. So it's an agent-based. It's only once when you install agents, that's when you can be able to manage them. And the agent is just a lightweight software. It's not going to disrupt any activities. It's very lightweight, like let's say like maybe 30 MB or so, or 20 something MB. So once you install it on that system, that's when you are going to be, all the policies that you've configured on the application can be deployed to those endpoints. So without the agent, you can be able to manage your endpoint. So you have three ways of installing agents. You can do that manually, go to the application, download the exe file and go to the system manually to install, or you use your group policy to install agents. Then you can automate the agent installation from the application. But for you to automate it, there are some prerequisites that needs to be met because you are trying to install agents over the network. And once you're trying to do something over the network, you need to permit this, you need to ensure that some ports are opened, that the server hosting this application can reach those endpoints. So there are a lot of things that need to be put in place before you can be able to automate the agent installation successfully. So this Endpoint Central comes into two flavors. We have the on-prem and we have the cloud. So on-prem means you need to host it in environment. You need to set up servers. You need to ensure that all the hardware that is needed is being set up properly, and then install it in your environment. While the cloud, the software as a service, all you just need to do is to create an account, like how Google is, and most of all these software as a service application. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to install. You just sign up with your email address and you start managing your endpoint. So these are the two flavors of ManageEngine Endpoint Central, both for the security and for the management editions. So deployment. So enterprise applications, all you just need to do is to get the silent installation switch. Silent installation switch means it's like a command that helps the application to install silently on user's endpoint. So that's all that is required. Get the silent switch and then push the application, and it will be deployed to the managed endpoint. So you can install and uninstall software silently. You can do automatic updates of software. So if there is a newer version of that software, it will automatically update. You don't need to come and initiate an update on that particular software. So far that you've already enabled automatic updates, the system can be updated successfully and automatically. So you can perform numerous pre and post deployment activities. What would you like to do before the application is being deployed and after the application has been installed? So it enables end user to even install software. So if you don't want to push the software silently, like you want the user to install it by themselves, what you just need to do is to push the executable file to their system. That is called the self-service portal. So there will be a portal in the user system that show the user the list of the softwares that needs to be installed. The user doesn't need to get the exe or reach out to the IT support for the executable file. The file will be pushed to them. All they need to do is just to click on it and it will be installed successfully. That's the software deployment. The next is the IT asset management. So it helps you to have a complete track of hardware and software assets available in your network. So you'll be able to see, like I said before, you'll be able to see all the hardware available, the hardware details, the software details. The hardware, like I said, is not just your system name or the OS running on it. To tell you the kind of drivers you are using, all the drivers you are using, the details, the space on the system, the manufacturer the manufacturer for your keyboard, your mouse, and the like. So it will show you even your audios. It will tell you the manufacturer. So it will give you the in-depth hardware details of all the hardware you have in your environment that you're managing. Then also the software, the number of software that have been installed, what kind of software did you install on your system. You'll be able to see those details. So it does software metering, software license and warranty management. So you can use the asset management module of Endpoint Central to perform software metering. Software metering means you want to know the usage of a particular software. For example, maybe in your environment, you've mandated users to make use of which application will I call? Maybe to use one collaboration tool that your company has introduced, and you want to know how many users are making use of that particular application. So that's what software metering is all about. What I just need to do is to set up that particular application on this Endpoint Center and tell this application to monitor the number of people that is making use of it. So from there, you would be able to know if this user is making use of this application, how the count, number of times the user is making use of that application. Are users making use of it? Are they just leaving it there? From there, you can be able to inform decision. Should I renew this application? Is it worth it? Should I keep it or should I just yank it off from my environment? So those are the kind of decisions you can take when you implement software metering. So you have software license and warranty management. So if you want to manage your licenses, keeping track of your license, when your license will expire, it will send notification to the administrator that is in charge for that particular license. And you can also map that license to your endpoint to know the systems or the endpoints that is making use of that license, whether you are overusing your license or underusing it or your license compliance. So it would help you to manage your software license and also warranty management. So under the IT asset management also, you can be able to block blacklisted software. So you can block softwares if there is any. It does a partial blocking. It doesn't do in-depth application management. That is in the security aspect. So it just does a little bit of application control. So you can also get the status of BitLock encryption. It won't help you to encrypt BitLock, but you'd see the details under the security tab. You'd see the BitLock encryption. Is my device encrypted? Is my hardware encrypted? What kind of antivirus am I using? Is antivirus enabled? And it will tell you the name, even if it is not the native antivirus, the Windows Defender firewall that is on our Windows laptop. If it is another firewall, it's going to tell you the name of the firewall and the antivirus that you are using. So it will give you the complete details of all the file types in the network. So it will analyze all the files you have in your system. If it is videos, it will tell you that you have so number of videos, you have so number of documents, and it will even categorize them for you: MP3, audios, videos, docs, PDFs, and the like. So it will categorize those files for you. That's what you're going to get under the IT asset. We have the tools and remote control. So with Endpoint Central, you can be able to perform remote control to your devices or your endpoint. You can be able to remotely troubleshoot your endpoint. You can even, for troubleshooting purpose, you can even invite another user to help you. Maybe you're trying to resolve something and you're not getting it. You need to collaborate. You need to speak with your team member. You can invite them, and two of you will be in that session and be troubleshooting on that particular event. So you can initiate file transfer. You can even record all those remote sessions for audit purposes. You can initiate a voice or video call, so it is integrated with the application, or you can chat. If it's something that requires you just to chat to the user, you don't need to initiate a remote control. Just for you to chat, you can open that chat and start chatting with the user. So it has all those collaboration tools. And you can also shadow remote user. Shadow remote user means you don't want the user, maybe you want to set something up and it's confidential. You don't need the user to see what you are doing. You just shadow the user. Shadowing means you just blacken the screen. The screen will be blackened from the user's end. You'll be saying, maybe something happened to my screen, but it's only you as an admin that will be able to see the screen as at that point. So when you are through with whatever you are doing, the configuration or the settings you are doing on that system, you can unshadow the user. So all these are features of the endpoint management of Endpoint Central. So we have OS imaging and deployment. So it's actually available both on cloud and on-prem. So don't look at this available only on on-prem. So it's both available on cloud and on-prem editions. So what OS imaging and deployment does is actually simple. You just back up, like I said, you image that particular OS or system, the system that you feel that is up to date. Maybe you want to update all your Windows 7 or Windows 10 to Windows 11. And you don't just want to apply just OS alone. You want all the enterprise applications to be available as you're setting that system up. You need some specific type of files to be available on that system. What you just need to do is to get a system that meets that requirement or the criteria that you're looking out for. Get that system or backup. Let me use the word backup that system, the entire system, the OS, the profiles on it, the security, the settings that is on it, the applications that are installed on that system. Just get the system that meets that criteria that you're looking out for, image it, and then deploy it to your target systems. And it's also hardware independent, irrespective of the vendor, the system vendor. You can image a HP and deploy it to your Dell or Lenovo or ASUS and the likes. OS imaging is actually, it looks simple, but that's one of the most sensitive feature of OS, of Endpoint Central, because if anything should go wrong when you are doing this, your entire system, that system would crash. So for OS imaging, you have to be very careful. You need to ensure that from the network point of view, it is up and doing, from the system is there, everything should be intact, everything should be ready where you want to initiate this particular feature. So we have the endpoint configurations like restricting USBs, will I say, configuring, what's it even called? Auto lock policy, that if your system is silent for some time, it will automatically lock by itself. So those kind of policies that are being pushed from the GPU can be done from Endpoint Central. And you even see the deployment status. It will show the progress. How many number of systems got this policy? The ones that failed, why did they fail? So from there, you'll be able to troubleshoot. You know, when you push through group policy, you won't be able to know the system that got it. So if you go to a system and you notice that that system didn't get that policy, you just go to the command prompt and force is it GP thing, force update or something? I've forgotten the command before that particular policy will be applied. But with Endpoint Central, you'll be able to see the deployment progress. This system didn't get it to. It will give you the error, the mark, the reason why the system didn't get it. And from there, you can troubleshoot. So, you know, when you know the reason why this thing didn't go through, you'll be able to know what next to do. Instead of you going through the corners or running around to actually know the reason why. Once you see the remarks, you'll be able to say, okay, it's because I didn't do this or didn't do that. Okay, let me try this. Maybe it will work. And if you try that and it didn't work, it will give you another remark, do this or that. So you'll be able to see the deployment status. It's not just for configuration management only. Any configuration or policy you're pushing out through Endpoint Central, you'll be able to see the error remarks. So from there, you can troubleshoot further. We have the mobile device management. So under the mobile device management, you can perform device management, application management. So like I said, mobile device management is not just your mobile phone. Any device that is mobile management. Any device that you can carry about, your laptop, your tablet, mobile phones, your POS. So all those are mobile devices. And they're running on these OSs that I mentioned earlier, Windows, Linux, Mac. But for mobile devices, it only supports Mac OS, Mac OS, Windows OS, Windows Mobile OS, iOS devices, and Chrome OS device. So these are the OSs that it supports. It doesn't support Linux for the mobile device. So you can set up different security policies, password restrictions, if you want to allow your camera to be on, if you want to disable your screen capture, because the purpose of this Endpoint Central is to protect your company's data and to ensure that your environment is secure. So if there are any restrictions that you need to apply on those mobile devices, you can do that through Endpoint Central. You can even share content. Content management means you want to share files, you want to share videos to those mobile devices. You can do that. You can configure or implement corporate or complete wipe. You can initiate your tracking to know where those devices are as at that time. So all these mobile device management, OS deployments, all these features that I talked earlier, they're under the endpoint management. So we have the endpoint security. So in endpoint security is all about protecting your endpoint that's connected to a network or to the internet, protecting the endpoint from malwares, from viruses, from phishing attacks, and identifying zero-day vulnerabilities. You know, zero-day can be very, would I say, zero-day, hackers always exploit zero-day. Let me just put it like that. So zero-day attacks are attacks that have been identified, but there are no solution at that particular point in time. So this application can be able to show you that there is this zero-day available. Just do whatever you need to do to ensure that this cannot be exploited. So zero-day means there is no solution yet. There is no patch that can remediate that particular attack. Well, it's good for you to know there is a zero-day that is available in the environment that not knowing at all. So when you know that there is zero-day, there are some other measures that you can put in place to ensure that that particular zero-day cannot be exploited. So what are the features in this security feature of ManageEngine? So we have the browser security plus. So browser security plus means managing your browsers, monitoring the usage trends, and doing web filtering on those browsers. So browsers management supports the likes of Edge browser, Google Chrome, Internet Explorer. So there are a list of browsers that this application supports. And once that policy has been set and you make use of any of those browsers to work, it wouldn't go through. If it is a whitelist, it would allow access. If it is a blocklist policy, it will block that particular event from happening through those browsers. You can allow enterprise approved websites, that's the web filtering. You can block some browsers from opening your environment on those laptops. So there are a lot of things that can be done through browser security. So that's one of the features of Endpoint Central security feature. The next is the vulnerability management. So with the vulnerability management, you can be able to improve your security posture with the integrated threat and vulnerability management by instantly detecting and remediating vulnerability. So this vulnerability management is different from the patch management because people will be asking what's the difference between the vulnerability management and the patch management. So patch management is also in vulnerability management. Patch is just a type of vulnerability. It's just a type of vulnerability. There are lots of vulnerabilities that can be present in your environment or in a system. You can have a system misconfigurations, that is a vulnerability. You can have zero-day, like I said. You can have ports, a lot of ports being opened is a vulnerability. So all those things are called vulnerabilities, and there are benchmarks too that needs to be followed. So this application follows the Center for Internet Security benchmark. So once you map those benchmarks to your endpoints, the endpoints that you're managing, you're able to see the overall percentage of the security posture that you have. So you can audit active ports to discover anomalies, all the services running on each port. You'll be able to see those kind of all those kind of reports. So you can also spot zero-day vulnerabilities and deploy mitigation scripts as workarounds before the patches arrive. So all this can be done under the vulnerability management. So these are the vulnerabilities that we have. We have software vulnerabilities. We have detected CVEs, the zero-day, the system misconfigurations, the high-risk softwares, the web server misconfigurations, port audits. So all these are seen as vulnerabilities. And hackers always go through each and every one of these to exploit them and to penetrate into an enterprise environment. The next is the application control. So you can be able to whitelist the kind of application that you want users to have access to. You can blocklist some applications. You know, when users have that leverage to run anything on their browser or on their system, they tend to misuse that opportunity. So we even be going through, what I say, all these betting platforms and the likes. So for you to be able to restrict the number of applications or the kind of applications the user needs to visit or have access to, you can use application control for that. So you can discover all installed applications and the executable, and you can categorize them as enterprise approved and unapproved based on their digital signatures. You can also allow users to request access to a particular application. So if you see the access, you can check, review, is this what it? Do you want the user to make use of this application? If yes, you can push that application or whitelist that application for that particular user. So it is called just-in-time approach. Just-in-time approach means, I think I talked about that yesterday in the PAM 360 when you're trying to give a user a just-in-time privilege to access a particular resource. So in this case, it's accessing a particular application. Maybe you've blacklisted or blocklisted some of the application, and the user needs to have access to one of those blacklisted applications for a specified period of time. So instead of you putting that application in a whitelisted group, you can just give that user, only that user, access to that application for a particular window, maybe from working hours or maybe for like a week. So that's just in time. So you can do all those things using application control. So the next is BitLocker management. So you need to encrypt your drives. So encrypting drives is another security approach to ensuring that all your data are secured. So with Endpoint Central, you can encrypt and you can decrypt. And you can even rotate the security, the recovery keys, because it's only with the recovery key that you can decrypt the. It's only with the recovery key that you can decrypt those drives. Please hold on. So that's what BitLocker management does. So it helps to encrypt your drives present, but this only speaks to Windows operating systems. So we have the device control plus. So for the device control plus, it manages all the peripherals you have in your system, your mouse, your keyboard, your USBs, so you can restrict the usage. You know, in configuration management, in the management aspect, you can restrict USBs, but this does more. than just does more than that. So you can restrict USB here. You can also configure file transfer limits in your environment. You can grant temporary access. Maybe a user needs to use printer to print out, because printer is a peripheral device. It's being connected to your system. So you want to give the user a temporary access to make use of those particular peripheral devices. All those can be configured under the device control. So the next is the endpoint data loss prevention. This is where you want to actually monitor what goes in and comes out from your environment, from your mailbox, from your Outlook endpoint to from your browser. So you can be able to restrict the kind of information that goes out and restrict the kind of information that comes in. So all these things are being set using the policy or by keywords. Or maybe you can set a keyword that if this application sees a keyword like account number, lock that download, something like that, or don't let that email out from that environment. So with endpoint DLP also, you can restrict screen capture, because with screen capture, you can be able to leak data. The sole purpose is just data protection. So all these things can be done using Endpoint Central. So we have the next gen antivirus that works like the likes of Sophos, and it would detect all the viruses in the environment and immediately remediate them. Not just viruses, also ransomware. So it helps in ransomware. Under the endpoint security, we have the BitLocker management, we have the application control, we have the browser control, we have the device control plus, we have the enterprise data leak prevention, we have the next gen virus. So there are different kinds of reports that can be gotten from this application. We have the user reports, the computer reports. So the strength of this application also lies on the reporting. There are lots of reports that can be generated, both executive kind of reports or scheduled reports. You can schedule reports to go into your mailbox at a certain period of time. So a lot of reports, and it's going to integrate with other third-party applications like help desk software, service desk plus Zendesk, ServiceNow, and other ManageEngine integrations too. And if some of the applications require support API integration, Endpoint Central can integrate them. So what are the benefits of Endpoint Central? So it's an integrated desktop management and mobile device management solution. It's web-based and manages distributed environments. So it can manage remote offices like branch, different locations, whether in this country or anywhere. So I'll just use one of our clients as an example. I don't know if you know IHS. They have IHS, most of IHS, InterSwitch, and the like. So they have all these applications, and they have a lot of distributed offices. Like IHS, they have one in Japan, Dubai, London, US. And they were able to manage all this using this tool. You don't need to have another application in Dubai or have another ManageEngine application in the US. So with one tool, you can be able to manage your distributed environment. So it offers seamless integration with other products, and it enhances your network security by you implementing the patch management feature, all the security features that I just mentioned, restricting the kind of application that is running in the environment, restricting the kind of sites that you visit through your browsers, or locking down browsers for users to only make use of the corporate browser or the approved browser that is being mandated to run in your environment. So that is the end of this Endpoint Central Management and Security presentation. So I'll go ahead to demo. So I'll go ahead to demo this application, both the management and the security. So if you have any questions before I go into the demo, you can let me know. Please, I need questions. I would like the session to be interactive. You can raise up your hands and you'll be called to ask the question. You can drop your question on the chat box or on the question and answer box so that we can pick it up from here.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. Good afternoon. Nice session. So I just want to understand something before I ask my question. You were talking about GPO policies and updates. To push that, which of the softwares will I, is it AD, the AD Plus, or this Central?
To push what? I didn't get your question. To push that policy, is that what you
The
said?
GPU policies, GPU.
Yeah. Okay, the GPU policies. I said this application does what your normal GPU does, the native GPU. You know, when you want to push a GPU, you need to go to your domain controller, go to your group policy objects and create your group policy there, and then push to the domain objects. So if instead of you going through all those routes, you can come to this application and create, for example, the USB restriction. You can restrict those USBs without you going through those rigorous steps. You can enable wallpaper, screensaver, or all those auto lock policy. So all those things can be done using this Endpoint Central.
Okay.
I don't know if that answers the question.
Yes, that answers it. And there's another situation that I came across. They tried to do like a screensaver for their users via GPU. While they pushed the policy, it did not work, and it's because most of their users were using Windows Pro, not enterprise or Windows education. So I just want to know if I push via this software, will it bypass that, or it will still be the same situation?
So having two or more applications doing the same thing, it would actually complicate. What's the word again? There's one English word for that. So it's not good to have two or more application that does the same thing. So for example, if you said they're already having an application that does the same thing and they're using group policy. Yeah, it will conflict. That's the word that I want to use.
No,
It
no,
will
no. They don't
conflict.
have, sorry, they don't have any application. They are just using the normal ADGP to push.
Okay. So
Is that
yes, so if you use Endpoint Central, it's going to go through. But if you didn't go through, it will give you, there will be an error remarks. You know, I said it earlier that when you push through GPU, you're not going to, you won't even know whether it goes through or not. You won't be able to see any error. It's until you
yeah.
go to that system to check, I've pushed this policy, but I'm not getting it. Even if you force the GPU update, it's not going through it. Then you start running around to know the reason why it is not getting to that system. But with Endpoint Central, if you push that policy and it didn't get, there will be a remark stating the reason why the system didn't get it. From there, you can troubleshoot and resolve that particular scenario. So when you push a screensaver using this application, definitely it would go through to that system. If not, there will be a remark, and from there you can troubleshoot.
Okay.
I'm not saying that if you push anything using Endpoint Central, that it would go through to be successful all through. It won't really be, some will be successful, some will fail. But those one that fails, there will be like how you can be able to resolve that.
Fair
Yeah,
enough.
you just have a clue on how to resolve it.
All right, fair. Thank you.
Please, are there any other questions? I need more questions, please. Questions will show that you actually understood what is being said here before I go into the demonstration.
Amaka is raising.
Amaka, yes. Amaka, you can unmute yourself and speak. We can't hear you. Or if you can't speak, you can type in your questions under the question and answer box and it will be picked up from there.
Okay, I can hear you. I said thank you very much for this session. I want you to do more clarification for me on the 0 day. You were saying something about no solution provided yet, but you gave some other options. I'd like to hear more about the options.
Okay, so 0 day, this application will be able to discover 0 day. No, what 0 day means, there is this particular vulnerability in town right now, but there is no solution, there is no patch that can remediate that. But as a security analyst, there are different things that need to be put in place. This is not less for you to make a decision. There are scripts that you can run that can help you to remediate that while the patch is being discovered. It's not that this application would automatically push a script and that 0 day will be remediated. No. So as a security analyst, there are different things that you need to do. Since you already discovered that there is a 0 day in my environment, okay, I need to do this, I need to do that before hackers exploit that particular 0 day. So this is just like giving you like a notice ahead that there's this thing in your environment, there is a 0 day attack in your environment. So that's what the application can do. The application cannot remediate that because there is no patch available, but it can discover that there is 0 day in your environment. Does that answer your question?
Okay, yes, it does. Thank you very much. Then I have one more question. You spoke about end of life. So does it mean that appliances and devices that are on end of life, you don't give service? Is there any chance of an upgrade for end of life devices?
Yes, so if devices reaches end of life, you just need to upgrade. For example, Windows 10. Windows 10 have reached end of life. So you can manage Windows 10, even though the system will be able to discover all the patches missing on that Windows 10, but it can't be applied because Windows are not, or Microsoft is no longer supporting that particular service. All you just need to do is to upgrade it to Windows 11. So you can upgrade. You can upgrade end of life systems, yes, in terms of OSs.
All right, thank you very much.
Yeah, Chidi Chukuka, you raised up your hand. So in absence of any question, you can actually drop your question on the chat post. So I can go ahead. Okay, Laura asked if there is any free version for mobile phones like Sophos. So you know this is an enterprise, it's a web-based application, so you need to host it in your environment, and all ManageEngine Solutions have 30 days free trial. So you can run it for 30 days, and there is a mobile app also, like this Endpoint Central. You can manage your endpoints from your mobile app. You can get visibility on all the endpoints you are managing from your mobile app. So you just download the mobile app on your phone and manage your endpoints from there. So, but the trial is for 30 days. After 30 days, most of the functionalities will be limited. So I'll go ahead to start sharing my screen and demonstrate on the application. Thank you. Can you all see my screen? So on the screen is the application Endpoint Central. So this one, I have downloaded it. I installed it on my laptop. This is the trial version. I installed it on my laptop. That's why you are not seeing demo dots. But if you want to access the demo page, like I said yesterday, you can just type in the demo.endpoint central. You're seeing it like this, and it will spring up the demo page of this application. You have access to the demo page. Yeah. So, but this is the one that I've installed and is local to my computer. So I did that for the purpose of this webinar. Okay. So, I said it has the management part and it has the security part. So I talked on the management part, we have this configuration management for pushing out policies, we have the patch management, we have the software deployment, we have the inventory management, and we have the mobile device management and OS management. So looking at these tabs here, you'll be able to see them. We have configuration management here, we have patch management, we have the software deployment, we have inventory, we have the mobile device management, and we have OS deployment and tools, the remote control. Then for the security aspect, we have the browser management, we have the application control, we have endpoint, DLP, we have the device control for your peripheral devices, we have BitLocker, and we have browser management. So with malware protection, the next gen antivirus that I talked about. So all these are the features of Endpoint Central. All these are features of Endpoint Central. So we have all these features also can act as a standalone. It can act as a standalone. Then for vulnerability, I talked about vulnerability management. So the threats and patches are being joined together for vulnerability. So you'll be able to see all the vulnerabilities and patches. So they're being joined together. But if you're only going for management edition, you only see patch here. But if you are going both for management and security, because that's how it's been licensed, you need to let us know which one are you going for. Are you just going for the management, or are you going for the security? And the edition also matters too. So with that, you can be able to have access or limited access to some of this functionality. So I'll use the demo because the demo have more let's say reports or data on it. Whereas the one I installed, I only installed agents on my system. So I can show you my system right now. It's only one system that is here. So this system I'm using for this presentation is what is here. I have total number of part 1 systems to be able to see the softwares that I have. You can see the softwares that I have. So from here, I'll be able to know, is there any software that Amaka doesn't need to have on this system or is not needed, like Netflix now. So as an example, users are not meant to be using office laptops to watch Netflix. So you can restrict this Netflix to be running in your environment. So you can do all those things, solitaire games and the like. So if there is no enterprise, if there is any non-enterprise application that don't need to be here, you can uninstall automatically and also blocklist those applications from running. So these just under softwares. Then under you'll be able to see the hardware details. So these are the hardware details present on my system right now. These are the OS summaries, the OS versions, the device manufacturer. I'm using HP, the device type, the memory available, the device model, the processor, the service tags. So you'll be able to see all those details. So this inventory management speaks to the IT support departments of every organization, because these are the kind of details that they're always looking out for. Instead of them going manually, going to the system directly to ask the user, please, I want to get the serial number, or I want to do this, I want to do that. They can use this application to do all those things. Be able to see all the local users present on that system, all the groups present, all those things can be seen from here. The battery, the BIOS details, get the manufacturer, the versions, the keyboard. So all these things are what you can see, the monitor, the motherboard, serial numbers, and the like, installed date. So, but if there are some there is no information, so you can add them that cannot be discovered automatically. You can then add them manually here. So for physical memories, you'll be able to see that. Pointing devices, you can be able to see it. All the ports available, processors, video controllers, USB controllers, be able to see all these details. So in terms of certificate, if there's any certificates on this system, you'll be able to see it. All the file details, you'll be able to see. So the reason why there's no file details here is that I've not configured it yet. I just installed this application. So in terms of security, I said it's going to show whether if there is any BitLocker drive enabled. It will show you the name of the BitLocker drive. If there is any antivirus, it will show you the name. If there is any firewall on that system, it will even show you the name of the firewall. Then in terms of missing patches, it's going to show you all the missing patches available on that system. So there are lots of things that can be done. So from this homepage, it will just show you all the activities. So I'm switching between the demo and the live one that I have. So from the live one, I only have one system here, which is my system. So you'll be able, there is no much data on this. So on the homepage, you're not seeing anything. You just see like one few data, but on the demo, the OEM have already structured or developed the demo page in a way that there are much data on it, though it's just a dummy page. So on the home page or the dashboard, you'll be able to see all the activities going on this application. Be able to see all activities going on this application. So to just summarize everything for you, that's for the home page. Then the next is the configuration management. So under the configuration management, this is where you can deploy policies, like those DPO policies that I talked about. So you can deploy policies and it can be applicable to Windows, Mac, or Linux. So depending on the OS platform you want to push those policies to, you can create it here. So you can restrict to USBs, because this is one of the most demanded policy configuration that enterprise organizations always look out for. So you can block and unblock, point it to your target systems. This is the defined targets, point it to that target system. So if you look at these targets now, you'll be able to see different remote offices that they have. You can see Canada, South Africa, India. So it consolidates and brings everything under one console. So you can manage all your endpoints if the organization have a presence all over the world. So once you've enabled or configured the kind of device you want to allow block on block, you then push the configuration and it will be pushed for you. So aside USB restrictions, there are other things that can be done. We have the registries, services. If you want to push anything from the registry, then the services, you want to stop some services running on a system, you can search for the services name. You can from here search for it and push it. So all these things can be done through. So aside services, you can set an alert, you can distribute certificates to your system, you can set up your IP printer, you can display in terms of screensaver, Yeah, sure. In terms of screensavers, you can do that. This wallpaper, the screensaver, you can set it up here and then select your target and push. So all these things are what you can actually do. You can clean up your recycle bin. You can delete a local admin account from here. You can change your local admin password. You can implement auto lock policy. So there are lots of configurations that can be done from here. And you'll be able to see the deployment status. You're able to see, okay, I push this configuration. How many people have these configurations installed on it, and the number of it that failed. So you'll be able to see the status of those configuration running. So you can see that, but this is the demo page is actually limited. So the next is the threat and patches. So this threat and patches comprises of both the vulnerability management and patch management. And this can act as a standalone application. Can act as a standalone application. So what the application does for you is once you have agents installed on your endpoint, it will scan that device through that agent to get all these information. So it will get all the vulnerabilities that you have and categorize them into fixable ones and the non-fixable ones. So you can see the fixable ones. You can see the fixable ones here. You can fix it. Some are patches, some are system misconfigurations. Then for the ones that are not fixable, it will just guide you on how to resolve it. It's not that it will give you step by step, but it will just tell you that it is this that needs to be done. Vulnerabilities with manual resolution. So it will just tell you that if this needs to be done, just follow this, go through this route, and you can resolve it. It helps to give you guides on how to actually troubleshoot or what you should be looking out to resolve that vulnerability. So it will just give you that guide. To just give you that guide on how to resolve it. So under the threats, it is being categorized. You'll be able to see all the software vulnerabilities present in your environment. You'll be able to see all the detected CVEs for your Linux, Windows, and third-party applications. You'll be able to see all the 0-day here. So 0-day, you see them available. Yeah, then if it is a 0-day that a patch has been developed for it, it will show it here, and you can install that patch from here. But before you push any patch, it is recommended for you to test that patch before you deploy. We have system misconfigurations. It will show you all the system misconfigurations in your environment. So it will show you all the system misconfiguration, all things seen as misconfiguration. So it's not left for the admin, because it's not all this misconfiguration that can speak to the client's needs. For example, administrative shares enabled. There are some organizations that they used to enable these. There are some organizations that they don't enable geolocation, or geolocation is enabled. So all those things are seen as misconfiguration. So if there's anyone that's need, you can then fix it. So looking at this, there are some that no fix is available. That means you need to resolve it manually. You can't fix it from this application. You need to resolve that manually. So you can see, so for the ones that are fixed, you cannot do that from here. So you have high risk softwares. So I have applications that have reached end of life. You can see that is about to even reach end of life. They are reaching end of life by October 13, like Excel 2016, all these Microsoft suites that are reaching end of life. So I need to upgrade them, because if after October 13th, I've not upgraded them, any fix or any security updates or any update that comes, service packs that cannot be applied to them. This application will be showing me that this Excel needs to be updated, though, but I cannot apply it until I upgrade it to the latest version. So it's showing me applications that have reached end of life. Then if there is any web server misconfiguration on my system, the ones that that speaks to your needs, so you can do that. And you can also, but you cannot resolve it here, but you can view the resolution. So it will just tell you that, oh, that this is how you can actually do that. It will just give you an insight on what to do. Then it's to also do port auditing. It will audit all the ports that is available. So all these ports you're seeing are ports that are available on my system and the instances that are making use of that particular port. So this 8020 is Endpoint Central port. So it will show you the services that is making use of that port. You can see it here. To show you the services that is making. So all these are what is categorized as vulnerabilities. So we have the patches too. So, the system would, once you have agent installed, it will scan it, it will detect all the missing patches. So these are the missing patches available on my system. Then we have the installed patches, we have the applicable patches. Applicable patches is the sum of missing patches and installed patches. So with the current status of my system right now, my system is highly vulnerable because we have a lot of missing patches on it. And some are even critical. So there are lots of missing patches. So I actually did this because of this, the purpose of this webinar, to show you how vulnerable systems and highly vulnerable systems looks like.
Okay, thank you. That was great. Now, my question on this issue is MDN. Now, MDN, if we do MDN on devices that is working with the organization, which is not, so when they go out of the office, what happened? Because I was asked that question by a client, that if you decide not to, or you decide not to continue working with the company, what happened with the configurations on it?
If you decide not to, if an MDM policy will be pushed to a particular MDM, I don't want to work with the client, the organization again, you can remove that policy. The admin can provision it, and the policy won't be applied again on that device.
When it's out or when it's still in the system? Is it when it's out of the system or when it's still in the system that it tender resignation and all that? Because I was asked these questions the day I was presenting the central endpoints to a company in VI. So these are the questions they were asking. They said they are not the one that bought phones for them. However, they are using most of their software on the phone, but at the same time, they want to also protect their information. So in a situation whereby the person is no longer working with them, what happened? So this was the question that was thrown at me.
whereby someone is not working with them. So before a person tenders or shows interest that he or she doesn't want to work with an organization, it needs to give them some things, right?
Yeah,
So
sure.
within that, yes, it can manage everything that is there. But in a situation whereby the person didn't give any notice and just dropped his or her resignation letter, and also the device is connected to the internet, we can from this application, since the mobile device is still in this application, it can perform corporate wipe. Corporate wipe means all the data that have been pushed using Endpoint Central will be wiped off from that device. But the criteria is that the device must be connected to the internet.
Now, okay, good. That's a very clear understanding. Now, secondly, now mobile device. Some don't come with name. Some come with the manufacturer name. Some customize it to their name. So on that note, if we have so many of them on the network, like you just mentioned, how do you identify that particular device that is no longer on the system?
That is not on this system anymore.
That we want to take out of the system. The person is not longer working like you earlier said, that you go to that corporate to whitelist it or blacklist it out. How do you identify that person
So I
device?
find that to give you reports inactive mobile devices that are inactive. So if you are using an on-prem application, and the on-prem means the device must be connected to your network before
Yes.
policy. And if you notice that the device is no longer communicating with the central server, there's a report for that. So from there, you'll be able to see all the inactive devices.
No, you make mention of something now. You make mention of something. You said as long as that device is on the internet, you can take it out. Now.
So for the ones that are connected to the cloud, the ones that are on the internet, so for those ones, so far it has internet, it will always be connected to this MDM platform. So it's not like you as an admin to do your due justice. This person is leaving, you just decommission that particular device.
And I am saying that, how do you identify that device? Because it's not coming by a name, it's only coming by a proprietary name, like the manufacturer name.
In this application, once you want to manage a mobile device, right?
Okay.
You need to assign a user to that device. So you would know that is making use of that device. In case of anything, you can say, okay, this device belongs to this person, and this person is no longer with us. You can just remove it.
Okay, thank you. That's clear understanding. Thank you. Then my second question, you talk about patch.
Coming back there, we can see where MDM is.
Yes.
And patches. So when we get to MDM, I don't know if your question is in MDM or in threat and patches. But
it's on MDM. The next question is on threat patches.
Okay, you can ask your question.
Okay, now on the threat patches, most of what we listed, most of the time, and it's just a suggestion. Most of the time, when there is this patches, and because of the kind of equipment that they have or the kind of device that they have in the premises, so most of the time, when you pull patches from this place to be implemented on those devices, most of the time they don't work with it.
Most of the time, it doesn't work. Do what?
Most of the time, the patches don't work with the system, the device.
It works.
Like, okay,
They're pushing that end of life to it, and it's not taking it.
okay.
So all those things that you need to actually check out.
Okay.
Now, this is the end of life. If yes, even if you push any patch to it, it's not going to be up until you upgrade that system.
Oh, okay, no, end of life. When you say end of life, end of life is the hardware, right? So, but what we are patching the OS, right?
End of life can also be applied to the software. OS is software. Operating system is software.
Yes,
So the
exactly.
operating system have end of life. I showed you the end of life systems that are software that I have on my system. Excel. So all those things are not hardware, they're software too.
Yes,
So software
yes.
have end of life.
Okay, I see.
So there are things that you need to check. So that's what I'm saying. If assuming you push that part using Endpoint Central, it will show you the remark, the reason why this thing didn't go through. So from that, you can troubleshoot. It might tell you that okay, that there is no space. Even if there is no space on your system and you're trying to push a heavy patch, it will show you that there is no space. Kindly clean up your space before you push that patch. So with that kind of remark, you'll be able to know that this system doesn't have space, so let me increase the space on this system before I push that patch. Or it
Okay.
will tell you that the network name cannot be found. If you see network name cannot be found, you have to check the name that is on this system and go and check the name that is on the AD or on that system directly, because there might be some still computer names on your AD that you added to this application and you're trying to push bash to a stale computer, or maybe the system name changed. So once you see that name, you need to go and check if the name that is on that system is exactly what is on the AD. So like that, it will just give you a clue on how to resolve it. It's not that it will resolve it for you, it will just give you a clue and can take the next step.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
So once it discovers those patches, it's going to categorize that for you. You can see it here. Then we have the top priority patches. Top priority patches are mostly the important patches and critical patches. So this is what one of the demands. Some organizations that purchases this patch manager, they have patch manager plus assistant even. Their interest is only to remediate all the security patches, the top priority patches. Sometimes they're not really interested in third-party application. So their focus is on security updates, Microsoft updates, and the likes. So with this application, it's going to categorize all those things for you, top priority patches, and from here, push the patch, you can see install patch, but this is not advisable. It's not actually advisable because once you push that patch and you didn't test it, it might result to something else. I'll give a scenario. I have this client of ours that we implemented this before, and they pushed out a patch. I think an Office 365 patch without testing it. And they didn't even push it to like 10 systems or 20. They're managing more than 3,000 systems, 5,000 systems, I think. They pushed that patch across all the 5,000 systems. What this patch did to those systems? It uninstalled all the Office 365 application they have. And the funny thing is that the CIO was affected, the CEO was affected because the CIO was the one that noticed it. He wants to make use of the Microsoft Word to type something and the Excel. The Excel wasn't popping up and the Word, and it's something that he used the previous day. So that's how they now noticed that the patch that they pushed is what caused that incident. And that patch, they didn't even test it. They didn't monitor that patch before it was pushed. So all these things can affect operations. So you need
But
to patch
sorry,
it.
the question what you just said now is a very, very profound one. Now, in that kind of scenario, how do you test this patch before pushing it out? Because
Yeah.
you made a very valid point there. How do you test your patch and find that it's certifiable for you before you push it out? How do you test that patch?
So there is a point ticket in there.
Okay.
Test environment, you can see test and approve.
Okay.
Nice test and approve there. So it's best practice for you to test your patches. And the testing patches should be a shared responsibility. It's not only going to be the sole responsibility of this application to test the patches for you. As the application is testing, you as an admin should also check that test systems to know whether there is any malfunctioning on that system. So it's a shared responsibility.
Okay, thank
Because
you.
some clients, they'll be relaxed. They'll be like, Endpoint Central can do test and approve, and they'll be relaxed without going to those test computers to actually see the behavior of those patches that has been pushed. So under the threats and patches, you'll be able to see the highly vulnerable, the health summary. So this health summary to just give you the security posture of the systems you have in your environment. Number of systems that are healthy, number of systems that are vulnerable, and the ones that are highly vulnerable. You can see my system now that I'm using as a test. It is highly vulnerable due to I have 72 missing patches. So you can actually set your system health policy from here. So this is the one that comes standard one, the normal template so you can modify it. So anytime this application detects one or more critical patch, one or more important patches, 0 or more, all these things that have been filled in here, is going to scan through that your system, check if that system matches any of these criteria before it then categorize whether it is healthy, vulnerable, or highly vulnerable. That's how you can get the health summary of the systems you have.
Does this health summary come automatically once you open the interface, or you'll be the one to fill it?
No, so when setting up your environment, when setting this application, you need to do all these settings. So it's like a one-off configuration. After you've done that, every now and then the application will scan through all this system. If it matches any of these rules here, to then fill up this. You can see here, now fill up all these numbers for you based on these rules.
Okay, I want to give a scenario. Like now, take for instance, like the specified number of missing patch, which you can identify, and you decide to put 3 or 4. So it's going to source for 3, 4. Then if you put the next step, you say 2, it's going to search for 2 or something. Is that what you're trying to say?
No, that's what I'm trying to see. So what I'm trying to see now, patches.
Yes.
Patches have types of patches. We have security. We have security updates. We have non-security updates. We have service packs. We have different kind of updates and severities. So this whole summary is calculated based on the severities of patches. So under security updates, we have critical patch. We have important patches. We have moderate patch. This is how Microsoft has categorized their patch severities. So now you're now telling this application, anytime you see a patch that is critical, anytime you see one patch or more than one patches that are critical on this system, now that's categorize that system as a highly vulnerable system.
Okay.
So you can change this rule to now be 2.
Okay.
So what you are now telling this application is anytime you see 2 critical patches and more. So assuming it's identified one critical patch and the rule that you put here is 2, it's not going to categorize that particular system as highly vulnerable. It can categorize it as vulnerable system because that system doesn't match with this rule that you set up here. You understand?
Yes, I understand now. I understand. It's like a threshold. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, like a threshold. Yes.
Yeah. No, continue.
So once you fill in all these details and it scans through, and if you miss this, it's going to categorize those computers into highly vulnerable, or healthy systems. So there's attention required, that like your attention is required from the field's name. So you'll be able to see the end of life systems. It's to categorize those ones for you. End of life systems, Windows 10 end of life, Windows 11. There are some Windows 11 that have reached the end of life, even though Windows 11 is the latest OS. But there are some versions that have reached the end of life. So it's going to show you those versions. So let me go to the demo page. It has more data for you to be able to see that same.
Share this demo link for us. Huh?
The demo link.
Yes.
Let me drop it on there.
Exactly. Thank you.
So I've shared that. So you
Yeah,
can
thank you.
has more data, but these are dummy systems.
Yes, I
So we
know.
have end of life systems to be able to see all the end of life to show you the versions of those end of life systems. We have for Windows 10, we have for Windows 11.
We've not seen your link, oh, we've not seen what you shared.
It's on the charts.
Okay, thank you, man.
It's on the charts. Yeah. So then for systems, 0 day found, if there is any 0 day that has been noticed, it's going to show you the system that has that particular 0 day. So once you notice a 0 day has been discovered in any, so the first thing you can actually do is to isolate these systems from your network. So you can isolate them because 0 day means sometimes the remediation has not been discovered yet. So you just isolate them from your network. Or for the ones that are available, you can just deploy the fixes. But before you deploy the fixes, test it first. So the next is the deployment. So we have different ways in which you can deploy those patches to your environment. We have the manual deployment. So the manual deployment doesn't mean you are going to that system manually to do it. The manual deployment means you be the one as an admin to identify the kind of patches you want to push. Maybe you notice that this particular patch is missing or it needs an urgent remediation. You be the one to go to this application and create a manual patch, select that patch by yourself and push. Maybe you've tested the patches, you've tested it on your own test environment. You don't need the application to go through all those processes because it might take time, and you've tested it and you've observed that the patches, you just come here, select that patch and push it to that particular system, to the target system you want the patch to deploy to. And it will deploy. That's a manual deployment. So manual deployment is like a one-off deployment. It's not a recurrent task. So we have test and approve. Test and approve is where you test those your patches. So for you to configure test and approve, you need test systems. So you need to check your environment. How many OSs do I have? That's where you need to even start first. How many OSs do I have? How many OS versions do I have? Do I have Windows 10? Do I have Windows 11? Do I have Windows Server 2019, 2022? Do I have Linux, Red Hat, Ubuntu, and the likes, and other operating systems? If yes, you need to get test systems for each OS versions, because it's not the kind of patch that is applicable to Windows Server that is applicable to Windows workstations. And it's not the one that is applicable to 2022 that can be applicable to 2019. So you need test systems for each of these test operating systems. So with that, you can be able to test patches properly and test patches properly, approves them before you deploy to your production environment. So that's how the test and approve works. So I'm going to show you how it can be set up. So you need to specify the platform in which you want to carry out the test on. Is it Windows, Mac, or Linux? So once you've specified the platform, you call up your test computer, the ones that you're using as test, call it up here, specify the kind of patches you want to test. You know, I was talking about the kind of patch updates that we have, severities that accompanied the update. We have security updates, we have non-security updates, and you can see under it, we have critical, important, moderate, low, and unrated. We have service packs, we have feature packs, so we have roll-ups. So all these things have different meanings. We have non-security patch. So if it's what you're looking out for, you just to patch only security updates. You can only select security updates. I want this application to test any security updates that have been identified, whether they are critical, important, moderate, low, or unrated. But if you just want to specify the kind of severities, you can just remove this and say, okay, I want only the critical, important, and moderate to be tested. So you'll be the one to select the kind of updates and severities that you want to test. Remember that this application also perform third-party patching. So you can select the severities for your third parties. Your third parties are not being categorized like how Microsoft updates are, like the security and non-security So everything is being done by severities. It is either critical, importance, moderate, low, or unrated. That's for third parties. Then if you want to do drivers updates, want to test drivers, you can come select your drivers here and tell the system that you want to test drivers updates. But best practice is not good to automate this particular driver. That driver gets problem where it has a lot of issues. Because when you automate it to your production environment, even after testing, some users might say, my mouse is not working, or I cannot use my camera, or my audio is no longer working, or my keyboard, some letters are not working. And all these things are being pointed to the driver. So for you to do drivers on this, better you do that manually. The IT support guys in this training or in this webinar can understand what I'm talking of. So it's not good to automate this kind of part, even though there is a tool that is available to do that. But from experience, driver updates is not good to automate it. That can be done manually. So once you specify the kind of update you want to test, you come here and specify the number of days you want to carry out that test. So if you say you want to carry out that test for 3 days, what this means is that those your test systems that you've provisioned, this application will scan it and detect all the missing patches automatically. Download those missing patches automatically. You're not prompting anything. It will download those missing patches automatically and then install it on that system automatically. So all these things are doing silent installation all through. So it will install it and the testing would now start. So after the installation, it will test that patches for 3 days. If that particular patch is okay with the system, there is no malfunctioning, or based on the system's algorithm or the codes that have been written, and it sees that patch as a good patch, that patch will be marked as an approved patch. So approved patch means that yes, this patch has been tested, it has been approved, that it is safe for you now to move it to the production environment. So that's where the shared responsibility comes into play. This application has done its own testing, but you as an admin need to go back to that test system to check the behavior of that system. The system can actually mark a patch as a good patch, but as an admin, you need to go, is this patch actually a good patch? Check the behavior of that test system. Try and open all the applications on that system for you to be able to check if they are working properly. If it is not working properly, you can come here, mark it, leave it as an approved, and then that means that particular patch is ready for deployment. You remember this scenario that I just explained? They pushed an Office 365 patch without testing it, and that particular patch uninstalled all the Office 365 applications that they have on their system. So uninstalled it. So that has to just be running helter-skelter to ensure that those particular software is pushed, especially to the executive management. And it is also good that when you are rolling out patches to the production, do that in batches. Do that in batches so that even if there is any issues, you can actually resolve soon. It didn't get to all the systems you have. And you need to also treat it by priority. Push to normal users before you push to the executives to avoid running helter-skelter. So once you've specified the number of days, you just save. So all these things are being done automatically. So every now and then it will go to those test systems, check if there is any missing patch. If yes, it will download it, install it, and the testing would start immediately. And if the patch is being marked as an approved, that means that patch is good and is ready for deployment. So you can also automate patch deployment. This automate patch deployment is seen as your production environment. So this is where you now roll out those approved patches to your production computers. So you can group your production computers to be like maybe Windows 10 production computers, Windows 11 production computers, or you can group them by department. depending on how you want to group them. So once it has been grouped, the patches will be deployed to the approved patches will be deployed to them automatically. Then if you want to disable any automatic updates, you can do that here. All these automatic updates that are prompts, you can disable that. Then if you want to, what's it called? Decline patches. You can also, I talked about declining patches. You can decline patch. So there are some particular patch that once you upgrade them, it might stop working or the application will stop working. This speaks to mostly the development team. There's this particular version of the version that the software must be in for some of the codes to work, all these development codes like Python, Anaconda, and the likes, and you don't want to upgrade it. Once you upgrade it, oracles, all those kind of softwares. So once you upgrade it, it might alter everything that you've been doing. So you can decline those patches. If there is any new patches that have been developed for such application, the patch will not be applied to that particular application. So in terms of compliance, you can map the compliance. I said this follows the CIS compliance standard, Center for Internet Security. So you can map compliance to all the systems, and it will give you the total percentage, the percentage of the compliance on those systems. So you can see overall compliance percentage. So you have different compliance rules, but it follows CIS. So it's coming up. You can see that here. So we have CIS, Microsoft Windows 11 Enterprise, all these kind of compliance benchmark. So it has all these compliance benchmark and everything. So if you want to select the kind of benchmark you want to map to your target systems, and it will generate the compliance percentage for you. So we have the reports. So there are lots of reports that you can generate from this application, both the executive reports that can be presented to your executive management and other kind of reports. You can also schedule reports. That's for threats and patches. So the next is the software deployment. Software deployment simply is just for deploying softwares. So all you just need to do is to onboard for custom applications, the ones that is being developed solely for your organization or is not on this application. You can onboard it and then deploy. So we have already made templates that ManageEngine has actually added to this platform. So the template means like all these generally used applications like Google Chrome, AnyDex, and the likes. So you don't need to upload the exe for this kind of software. So you just need to do is to download it directly from here by clicking on Create Package. Like you click on this and create the package. So what create package means, you're now downloading that executable into the server hosting this application. But if the software is not available here, you'll now be the one to add your own package by yourself. So it supports MSI executable, it supports EXE executable, and it makes use of silent switches. So for applications you are adding manually to this platform, the manual one, not the one that comes as a template from this application. For manual one, you need to specify the installation switch. Installation switch is what helps the software to be installed silently on users' endpoints. So it works for MSI, it works for EXE. So once you've added that software to this application, you can then deploy that software to the system. And you'll be able to monitor the deployment status. So you can go back, you can uninstall, you can install. So if there's any software you want to uninstall, you can uninstall it. If it is a custom-made, custom enterprise application, you need to provide the silent switch because you upload the executable to this application before you can uninstall that software. So it has a self-service portal functionality too, whereby you are giving the user that privilege to install it by themselves. You don't want the software to run silently on their system. So you just push it to their portal. Portal is just like a small, will I say, a small window on the screen. It's a small window on the screen, so it will pop up. There's an arrow on it. So once you click on that arrow, it will expand, and you see all the softwares available on that system. And you then click on it to install. You click on that software. If you don't want to install it, that's installing manually. But if you want it to run silently, you can then push it to run silently. That's for software deployments. Then for inventory management, which I showed you with my system, the one that I hosted live, you'll be able to see the inventory details. So you'll be able to see the details, the computer details, the hardware details that is available. And you can see all those things. You can see them here. And also you can prohibit softwares, you can block executables. So if there's any software, so it does a little bit of application control. We have application control in the security feature. So, but the inventory management does a little bit of application control. So you can prohibit software, you can block executable here. You can perform software metering. Like you want to measure the usage of a software, you want to know the number of users making use of that software. You can see that here. You can specify the application you want to monitor, and it will show you the discover count, the number of times that user made use of that software, the last time it was used, and the likes. So you can also manage your licenses from here. You can manage license, and you can map that license to those users to know whether you are using that licenses effectively or you're underusing it. So you can also configure file scan rules so that it can identify all the files that you have and give you the counts for it. So you have audios, MP3 and the likes, Excel. So it will just analyze, audit all the files that you have and give you the counts for it. So we have the OS deployments. For OS deployments, simply what it does is you image your system and then deploy it. It looks simple, but this is one of the most sensitive features because if anything goes wrong.
Sorry, I have a question.
Yes, can go on.
Yes, I was actually raising my hand while we were at the threat and patches. I wanted to ask, can't we roll back the patches?
Yes, so you can actually roll back. Sorry, I didn't talk about that. That's a good question. You can roll back, but it's not all patches that you can roll back.
Okay.
There are some patches that rollback is not supported. What ManageEngine does is that it's helping you to identify other vendors' patches and then push it to them. So there are some patches that Microsoft has marked it as a patch that cannot be rolled back. That the only way you can roll it back is you going directly to that system before you can roll it back. So those you can see those kind of patches here. And this is how to know whether a patch can be rolled back or not. But you can roll back a patch. So not all patches. Still coming up.
Okay, and another question that I have on the software deployment. What if the application that I want to install, I just have the was it APK file?
So APK for mobile phones, Android.
Yes.
Yeah, so you can do that for Android.
Android, all right. All right, thank you.
Okay, so you can see this patch on installation. You can see this patch on installation here. So you can see not supported. If it is not supported, that means you cannot even uninstall it from here. If you see supported, you can uninstall it. Do you get? So supported, that means it can be rolled back. Not supported, that means you cannot roll it back. I remember the scenario whereby I said they pushed Office 365 and it affected most of their system. The worst part of it is that that patch cannot be rolled back. It cannot be rolled back. So what they now did is that they used the software deployment feature to push that Office 365 software back to the affected systems. That's what they did.
Okay.
So there are some patches that on installation, that's rollback is supported. There are some that is not supported.
Okay. But you said I could manage Android via this endpoint central too.
Yes, and then they're still getting there.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you.
So the next is OS deployment. So OS deployment simply creates an image of a system and then deploy. So for you to create an image of a system, you need to bring that system. The system must be connected to the same network, and you create an image. Image means backup, the full backup, both the OS, the user profile. You can see the back of the user profile. If you want the exact user profile that is on that system to view on the new systems that you are creating, you want to provision, to back up everything and then deploy. So once you image your system, imaging looks like this. So this is the one that has been imaged already. So it's you image everything, all the operating systems, you'll be able to see it, the RAM size and everything. So it will image it, and you can then use this image and push it to those your new target systems. You can push it to your bare metal system that doesn't have OS already on it. You can push it to already systems that have OS running on them already that you just want to upgrade. So that's for OS deployment. It's very simple in terms of explanation, but quite complicated. So there are different ways in which you can actually push that image. We have the USB, we have the ISO, we have the PXE. PXE means pre-installation boots. So that means you are pushing it over the network. The system must be connected to LAN for it to be able to push that OS to it. And also you need to enable PXE from the BIOS of that system. So there are lots of things that need to be configured before you can be able to push OS image over the network. And when you are pushing over the network, you need to ensure that that network is strong enough to carry out that particular action. Because at any point if that network fluctuates, even if for 1 second, that system is going to crash. It's going to crash. Then another method is using USB. For USB, all you just need to do is to load this image on it, the image that you've created, load that USB image on that USB, go to that system, insert the USB stick on the system to boot. That USB must be a bootable drive to boot from that USB, and OS will be deployed to that system. The next is ISO. ISO means ISO files. When you are trying to spin up a VM, you need to point it to an ISO. So ISO is solely for VMs, for your virtual machine. So if you want to slam the imaged
I have a question,
file
please.
virtual machine, use ISO. Did you say you have a question?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay,
You
so
can
when you were
ask,
talking
please.
about image backup the other time. Okay, can you hear me? Hello? Okay, so
Yes,
when
I
you were
can hear.
referring to the image backup. Okay, so when you were referring to the image backup, so I just wanted to confirm. Okay, so I was saying that the total on the dashboard I could see the total drive space. So when the image is being taken out of it, is it just the exact size of the data available on that system at that particular time? That's what's going to be backed up. Or
Yes. Yes.
okay, all right.
So, for example, now if you have like the space on your system is 250, like the total hard drive, like hard disk space is 250, but the used space is maybe 100. So it's only that 100 that is going to capture. You used what you have on that system.
Okay, understood.
It's all done. Okay, so that's what OS imaging is all about. Then I think I saw a chat. Sorry, it has not been attended to a question. How do we convince customers to purchase the UME solution over Microsoft Intune in terms of product competition? So, Intune and ManageEngine does, like say, almost this. They are similar, but there are a lot of differences in terms of patching. For patching, Intune only supports Windows, macOS, then limited Linux. In terms of patching, it doesn't patch third-party applications. Intune doesn't do that. But ManageEngine Endpoint Central supports full patching for both OS and third-party applications. So in terms of OS support, Endpoint Central supports many OSs more than Microsoft Intune. And in terms of a remote control, it has its own built-in remote desktop for both Windows and Mac OS, while Intune is actually limited. And it's very flexible. It's very flexible to use. And also in terms of pricing, it's quite better. Endpoint Central is quite better in pricing compared to Microsoft. Also in availability, Endpoint Central is available on-prem and is cloud hosted too, and it has its own managed service provider model. But for Intune, it's only cloud native only. So it requires internet and your Azure AD. But Endpoint Central, you can actually host it in your own environment, and you can actually set it up in your own environment if you want to host it like privately instead of utilizing third-party provider cloud platform. So all those things are the difference between the Microsoft Intune and.
But Anika, you didn't speak to the financials part for ManageEngine patch. The cost is very friendly. I can attest to that, right? The cost is very friendly, and it gives you opportunity to at least save more money, right? Because every organization look out for how to save cost and also achieve the same tax. So apart from that, so that's what I can add to that. And ManageEngine Endpoint Center comes in the bundles, right? Not just a single solution. It comes in a bundle, gives you opportunity to exploit other functionalities apart from the patches alone. Thank you.
So the next is mobile device management. So this is where you manage all your mobile devices, your iOS device, your Android device, your Windows mobile OS, and your Windows laptops too. Your POS also can be managed from. So so far the POS is running on Android, either of the Android or Mac OS device operating system. Any of the operating system that this application supports, so it can be managed from there. Then from your laptops, it only supports Windows 10 and above laptops. So if your system is running on Windows 7 and below, Windows 8 is not going to support the modem management on it. So the first thing you need to do for those mobile devices is to enroll them. So the enrollment is quite different from how to manage mobile devices is quite different from the agent base. You know, when you want to manage your laptop, your servers, and the likes, you need to install agents. But when you want to manage your mobile phones, you need to enroll them. Enroll them means you need to download the app on your device, you need to scan, and it will be added to this application. So there are ways in which you can actually enroll iOS, your Windows, your Android. So enrollment first, after enrolling, you map users to those enrolled devices so that you can be able to know who owns this user, who owns this device before you can be able to manage them. So you can see all the enrolled devices here. So you can be able to see them. You can't completely manage this device without assigning a user and email address to that device. So you'll be able to, I don't know, someone asked this question and I explained this to him. So this is how to know the person that owns that particular device and the likes. So first of all, you need to enroll. So we have different enrollment method for Android, we have for Apple, we have for Windows, and we have for Chrome OS. So once you enroll those devices here, that's when you can then manage those mobile devices. So you can manage it. There are different kinds of management that can happen on those mobile devices. So you can push applications to them. This is where this APK file comes into play. For someone that asked about the APK. So if you have an APK file, so you can add, APK file is always Android custom, Android apps, and self-hosted. So you can upload your APK. Can you see that? The person that asked the question. Are you with me?
Yes, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
So you just upload the APK file here. So once you upload the APK file, the APK file will be in the app repository. So anytime you want to push the app, you just select the APK file and then distribute it to the devices that you want them to have that particular application. So there are different policies that can be done on those mobile devices, a lot of them. So let me just show you. So you can create policies based on iOS, Android, Windows, Mac OS, tvOS. So let's choose Android as an example. So these are the things you can do. You can configure passcode, define the kind of passcode that you want it to be available on those mobile devices. If you want to restrict fingerprints, all these biometrics authentication, if you want to restrict that on that mobile device. What should happen after the user entered the wrong PIN? Do you want that particular device to be wiped? Like a reset factory should happen on that device. So you can set those kind of policies on those devices. So in terms of restrictions, you want to restrict some of the device functionalities like camera, microphone, screen capture. That's when you want to screen grab. All these smart clip mode, in terms if you want to copy. So when you click on any of those icons, you're able to see the type of OSs that you can apply that to. So in terms of security, you want to enable restore factory settings, or you want to restrict that, like you don't want users to perform such settings. In terms of lock screen, what should be in the lock screen? You want them to hide sensitive data, like if your screen locks, you want it to show all notification contents or hide sensitive data, or don't show notifications at all. So all these things you can allow or restrict. So there are a lot of things that can be done. You want to sync your Google account with your device. You want to report crash to Google. You want to store your data in your SD card, or do you want your USB to be working, your USB connections to be allowed or restricted? Then in terms of applications, do you want users to install applications or not? If yes, you specify that. Do you want them to uninstall applications, allow or restrict? Do you want them to do any of this? Then in terms of network roaming, do you want the user to enable airplane mode, to enable the background data, or do you want background data to be running on those devices? So there are a lot of things that can be configured. In terms of location settings, you want the location services to always be turned on, to be turned off. So if you want to track a particular device, so these particular location services is advised to always be turned on. Because if a user notices that you're tracking his or her device, they'll come here and turn it off. But if you put it on always on, that means even though the user wants to go to that device to turn it off, it will tell the device that your device is being controlled by your organization. And if you put it on user controlled, it is not advisable if you want to explore the functionality of your geo-tracking features. Then in terms of phone, you want to allow SMS or calls or MMS. So if you restrict this call, there will be no call that will be entering into those mobile devices. The date and time settings, you specify how you want the date and time settings to be. The display settings, you want to configure the screen timeout and the like. So there are a lot of things. Do you want to turn off the device using the power button? You can allow, if you don't want the users to turn off their device, you can just restrict it. Even if they are pressing their device button, the turn off button, so don't go through. So there are a lot of things that can be done. Remember, we are just in the restrictions. So you can see all these profiles that can be mapped to a particular mobile device. So do you want to share documents? Do you want to allow contacts over Bluetooth? So there are a lot of things that can be done. Do you want to automatically enable Wi-Fi so that anytime this device comes across that Wi-Fi or reaches the Wi-Fi proximity, it will connect automatically? The user will not enter these details manually. The device will just connect automatically. You want to enable VPN on those devices. You want to configure email. Then for kiosk mode, you want to restrict the number of applications on that devices. Maybe you just want for corporate owned devices, maybe your organization gave out corporate devices to their users and they want to restrict the number of applications that they want on that device. You can specify it here. I only want the corporate applications. I only want maybe WhatsApp or any of the calls and the likes. So it's only that application that you specified here that will be present on that device. If not, the user won't be able to access other application. The application that comes with the device will be hidden. It will be hidden. So it's only that 4 applications or the 5 applications that is specified that will be available. So you have for wallpaper, if you want to push wallpaper, if you want to give a tag, if you want to tag that device, if you want to give it a name, so that if it's logged, if your system logs, the tag will be showing. So sound settings, how do you want the volume, the ringing mode? Do you want it to sound? Do you want it to vibrate? And you can even specify the ringing mode that you want for those devices. So this is thorough management, complete management. It's called complete management. So all these things can be done once you have the device enrolled into this platform. You can even configure web content filtering. What kind of URLs do you want those devices to access? So you can allow, you can block list. You can see that here, you can allow, you can block list. So this is just in terms of applying policies. So aside the applying policies, there are other things you can do. You can distribute applications. You can distribute applications. You can distribute content. Content means file. You can share files. You can share files too. So you can distribute applications. This is it. You can distribute applications. You can distribute content. Content means if you want to share a file, these are the files that you have. You want to share this file with a mobile device, you just share it and select the device you want to share that, or the group you want to share that files to. You can also automate OS updates. All those OS updates that happens on mobile phones, you can automate it. But the difference here is that you can test. There's no test that are approved for the mobile device here. So you need to ensure that the OS that you're pushing has been confirmed that is okay before you automate it here. So all those things can be done through ManageEngine Endpoint Central, the MDM feature. You can enable geo tracking. This is where you can enable the geo tracking. You can track the device and it will show you where it is. Then you can also configure geofencing. You can configure geofencing. So it just shows you something like this. That this device is here, blah, 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 and the like. So to just show you where it is.
But these devices have to be online now.
It has to be online. It has to be online. So if the device is offline, it can't get any policy, or you'll be able to only get the last details when it was connected. Last detail, that's what you can get from here. So it does geofencing. Yeah, so you can create a virtual fence that if this device leaves this particular location, or you alert the admin or wipe off all the data on that phone. So you can set it. It's called geofencing. Sorry, this always happens when you're using the demo version. It happens like this. So the features of Endpoint Central is actually fast. So you can also track so you can monitor all those details. Then in terms of your tracking, you can do that. Geofencing, I mean to say, you can create a policy that if this device is within this particular area after creating your fence, what should happen to that device? Maybe immediately notify or you take action, or you complete wipe, like delete every details on that device or mark that device as a lost. So you have the power to actually carry out any of the actions that is being specified here. So that's for MDM. So the next tool is the tools functionality, whereby you have access to remotely control, enter a particular system. So this is my system. I cannot enter any system. Assuming there's another system here, all I just need to do is to connect. So apart from remote functionality, you can also have access to some of the processes and services running on that system. Like now, this is my system. I can open Task Manager here without going to the Task Manager on my system. You can see it here. You'll be able to see all the processes that is running. So now that I initiated this Task Manager, there is no Task Manager prompt on my screen. So the user doesn't need to go, the admin needs to enter into that system or do RDP or do control to see all the processes running. You can see all the processes running on my system. I can even rename my system from here. I can rename it. I can schedule a task. I can see all the services that is available here. I can open command prompts on my system. I can open command prompts. I can write any command. So you don't need to, you can see, I can open my command prompt, and there's no command prompt box on my own screen. So all these things are done from the Endpoint Central. You can open PowerShell, registry, file manager too. So for this file manager, I can download files from here. I can download files, see my C drive. So I can enter the C drive and take any files that I want. But this is solely for the admin. So you just take any files and you can download the file out of this C drive. So all these things are the files I have on my C drive. You can see that from here. You can even go back. So this is a very good tool for troubleshooting purposes. You can even add files. You can copy files. I can copy files from my system and add it to this drive. So we have the event viewer. You can open event viewer from here. You can open device management. You see all the audio and inputs, the total drivers, computer, the camera, all those details. You're able to see that from here. All the users available on this system, and be able to see it. Be able to see it. So that's for tools. So aside the system manager and remote control, you can shut down. I can shut down my system now. It's not only shut down, I can restart it, I can hibernate, I can lock it, I can log off for all the users from here. And you can even schedule it. You can schedule all these actions here. So you can initiate a chat. I can call I can call the person. There's collaboration to here. So this calls, this chats, and this video. I can video call someone else, like how Teams work. You can do that. I can create an announcement. Maybe there's an announcement you want to give to a particular department. You can create this announcement and tell the announcement to come up, to start the announcement at so time and end the announcement at so time, and then type in what you want to be announced. So there are system tools whereby you can check your disk, and do this cleanup, and you can defragment your disk.
Okay, madam, can you do scheduling, off scheduling if you want to off a system at this particular point in time?
Yes.
Or maybe let's create a scenario. Let's assume somebody came to do IT and they have a particular, just like what we normally do on an Active Directory. You create a time. Okay, maybe it's going to spend 3 months or 6 months. But once after that 6 months, the system automatically lock him out. Can this one also do it?
Lock them out.
Okay.
Hold on. So, but you can actually schedule shutdown, restart. You can see it. For logging off users, let me see for how long we can do that. So it can only be done monthly. Monthly is the, yes, you can't do yearly or like in 6 months.
Okay.
So the first frequency here is.
Thank you.
But you can schedule shutdown, you can schedule restart. You can just specify when you want that restart to happen. You can log off inactive users. You can log off current user. You can log computer. You can schedule all this.
Now, this login of computer, I want to understand something. This login of computer, is it at a point where you don't want the person to have access to that computer, or is it at the point where you want to take over that computer and operate on it on the background? So what does this log computer mean?
So log off, like log off, you log off that computer. Which scenario will I use?
Let's take for instance, like the way we operate most of the time, you want to operate on a user system and you don't want him to do any further thing except his office work. You can actually lock him on the background. He will not notice it, except you want to go and do something or you want to check if the internet is going or not or something. So that's only when he will notice that the system has been locked. So I'm just thinking, it's not a suggestion, if this one also does the same thing. Or when you say lock the computer, it means that person will not be able to have access to that computer except it enter the password and the username.
The person will log off the user. So when the user wants to log in, he has to enter the username and password. That's what the log off here means.
Okay. Thank you, ma.
That's what the log off here means. So all these things I just mentioned are the management capabilities of Endpoint Central. So what we are entering next is the security features. So the first in security features is the browser management. So if you want to manage your browsers, if you want to lock down browsers, so these are the things you can do for your browsers. You want to download filter. So if you want to manage your downloads, what kind of downloads do you want to allow? You want to block downloads? Yes. If you want to allow downloads, what kind of downloads do you want to allow? So you can set that up here for that particular browser. So remember, this is browser based. For example, it supports, let me show you the browser that it supports. It supports I want to show you the browser that it supports. So it supports these browsers: Google Chrome, Internet Explorer, Microsoft Edge, Mozilla Firefox, Lua, and Chromium based. You get. So if you push a policy, like if you restrict all these browsers to run, these are the browsers that it supports, and the user have some other browser that is not mentioned here, that policy will not be applied to that browser. So this browser is browser specific. So for Mac, this is the browser that can be managed from Endpoint Central for Mac devices and Windows. So you can restrict downloads. You can enable policy for threat prevention. So you can enable phishing filter, override certificate errors, block websites with excessive ads. There are some websites that have excessive ads. You can block them or enable them. You can block other apps that inject code. So in terms of data leak prevention, it can restrict printing web pages, automatic browser sync, remember passwords, screen capture, and mirroring. Okay, so it supports Chrome. I think this Edge. This, I don't know the name of this one. So all Chromium based. So this all Chromium based is like a group. So there are browsers that are in this particular group. So if your browser is a Chromium based browser, so this policy can be applied to it. If it is not, it won't be applied. So you can do all these restrictions and allowing here. If you want to customize your browser, you can customize it. If you want to enable web filtering, So this is what I was doing with my own system. I want to block all social media policy. I created it here and I associated it to my system. I've associated it to my system. So any social media applications that is on my system, I cannot access it via the browser, any Google Chrome or Internet Explorer and the likes. So you can restrict some browsers from running. So you can allow this, or you can block some browsers from running on your system. So in terms of insights, you can be able to see all the web activities for a computer. So it will show you the web activities, where you visited, the number of visits. So you'll be able to know what the users are doing with their own time, seeing where the URLs that are visiting, the files that they opened, did they download any file? If yes, you're going to see all those things from here, the last time of visit. I didn't enable it here, that's why you're not seeing mine. But let me go to the demo page for you to see how it works here. Sorry. So for this not to take much of our time, I can continue with my locally hosted one. There is no nothing yet. So that's what you can do with browser management. So it's solely for browsers. So the next is application control. This is where you can limit the kind of applications that you want in your environment. So first of all, you need to create an application group. So these are my whitelisted application. These are my blocklisted applications. So you can create your application, the ones you want to whitelist. You just have to search through. For example, you want to whitelist all Microsoft. You can search Microsoft here and select the kind of Microsoft applications that you want to whitelist in your environment. So there are lots of Microsoft applications here. So you can search for applications here. So the ones that are not available, you can add them manually. So you can add by vendor, just specify the vendor name or the product name, the name of the product. You can do by executable. If you know the executable name, you specify the executable. If you know the hash value, you specify the hash value. So this is how you can add the application to this. So once you have added the application, the next is to deploy it. So you can associate those whitelisted groups or whitelisted app or blocklisted app to the computer groups that you've created. So when you enable strict mode means that it's only that whitelisted applications that will be allowed on your system. Anyone that is not allowed will be blocklisted. Anyone, it's only that whitelisted that can be allowed. So, but audit mode means is only the blocklisted that will be allowed to run. You can see, except blocked applications, all other applications will be allowed to run. But it will help you to audit unmanaged applications. So unmanaged applications are applications that's either in blocklisted applications, blocklisted groups or whitelisted groups. But it's only the blocklisted applications that would not run when you put it in or audit mode. But you can give the user the privilege to request for an access to a particular application. Maybe you've restricted some applications to not to run. A user can just request for access, and you see the request access from this dashboard, and you can grant access to that user. So we have just in time. Just in time is when you want to invade the user's privilege. So you can just specify the computer that you want to give that privilege to and the type of application. And you specify, is it only for 1 hour or for 5 days, or for the highest this year is for 30 days. And in terms of window, do you want to give between now and so time to so time? I need to specify the applications that you want that user to have access to. This is where you do that. So that's what application control is all about. So the next is the BitLocker management. What BitLocker management does solely is to encrypt and decrypt. You can create policy to decrypt your drive. Once you toggle this button, that means you are decrypting. Once you toggle it again, that means you are encrypting. So once you've encrypted, you can rotate your recovery key. So once you've encrypted, you cannot decrypt it without this recovery key. So you can come to this application, get the recovery key before it can be decrypted. So that's what BitLocker management does. So the next is under the security is the malware protection. So malware protection works like the way Sophos does. So it detects viruses and it remediates them immediately. So once it detects, it resolves them immediately. So that's what malware protection does. So the next is device control. So device control is for managing your peripheral devices. So if you want to what's it called? Policy creation, sorry. So if you want to allow CD-ROMs and the likes, all these peripheral devices. So in configuration management is quite needed. So this one has all the peripheral devices that you can think of. So if you want to allow them or restrict them, or you want to grant temporary access to those devices, you can use this device control for that. So you can create a device to be a trusted device. That means you trust this device, so it can connect anytime it wants or not. So you have trusted device, and you can create temporary access for a particular peripheral device to work. So you can see that from here. So you can just select my name. So I want to make use of this device for just how many hours, or between so time, so time. So you just specify the device that will be allowed to run, or if I want to make use of printers, so you can specify the kind of print. If there's any particular printer, specific instance, you'll be the one to type in the printer name. So as at that time, you can make use of that printer. Once this time elapses, you can't use that printer to print again. So that's what this device control is all about. So the next is the endpoint data leak prevention. So under this data leak prevention, this is where you monitor what comes into your environment and what leaves your environment. So you need to classify your data based on rules. You need to specify your keywords. What kind of things do you want to monitor? You want to monitor keywords. So you need to specify those keywords that you want to monitor. So you populate those keywords in a CSV template and upload. So anytime this application detects such keywords, maybe keywords like sensitive or account number or money, any sensitive keywords is going to block that document from leaving or entering into your environment. So you can also create rules based on document matching. If this document matches so name, block it from leaving. So there are a lot of rules that can be created. You can also create based on file extension. If it matches so file extensions, let it be blocked. And reject patterns. So reject patterns Regex patterns are what can be gotten from some applications have regex patterns. So if you know the regex pattern, you can just specify it here and it will be blocked. So, but we have some templates here already. Maybe if it matches, let me know if I can see any Nigerian. So yes, NIN, if it matches, maybe NIN, if it is a NIN verification number, block such transaction from leaving or coming in to your environment. So based on your rules, that's what this application is going to use to implement those policies. So you can create, after creating your rule, you just select the rule that you want and you also enable this. So for file access, do you want to only audit these applications? So once you select the files that you want to audit, and based on the policy that you've created, it will check those files if it has any of those sensitive documents before it can allow or restrict you get. So for email clients only, if you want to allow block emails with sensitive data, based on the rules that you've created already, it's going to block them. Then if you want to perform file upload, and they are making use of this browser, if there's any other browser that you need to check, or maybe that is being used in the environment that users always use to perform file uploads or downloads, you can specify that, and every now and then the application will go through any of the file uploads that the users are making to check if it contains any sensitive data. If it does, it's going to restrict them. Same for your USB devices, same for printing. So if you're sending something to your printer and it contains those sensitive words, it's going to block it. But if you've already marked your device as a trusted device, it's going to allow that. So this is what the endpoint DLP does. So the last, I think I'm true. Yes, I'm true with all the security features of this Endpoint Central. So for security features, we have browsers management, we have application control, we have endpoint DLP, we have malware protection, BitLocker management, and device control. So for under management, we have configurations, threats, and patch management. So this vulnerability management is also a security feature, but it's just being added together because this is the benefit. So you have the software deployment as management feature of Endpoint Central, you have inventory management, you have MDMs. So all these are what makes of the ManageEngine Endpoint Central Plus. Do you have any question? Is there any question? I know there are a lot of things that have been discussed here. So there are a lot of functionalities available on Endpoint Central. So what you just need to go through them.
Anika, I think Toba wants to ask a question. I think Toba, you can go ahead.
Okay, so my first question is it installed on can it be installed on any what's it called? OS? Does it have to be a Windows server? Can it just be a Windows?
It can be installed on any OS. For Linux, it has to be a GI based.
Okay. And two, the AD plus, does it have to be installed on your AD
Is it the one that
server?
we talked about yesterday?
Yes, yesterday.
It wasn't being installed on your domain controller. It can be installed on any server, but any server that has been joined to
Domain. Okay. Thank you.
So any more questions, please?
Yes, I have a question. Can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Okay, my question is going to malware protection. What techniques does the Endpoint Central use to detect malware and prevent them in the environment?
Hold on. So you can see so it uses uh, machine learning and AI or the threat detection. But for me, I don't really know the name of the technique, but I would have to get back to you that on
All right,
the understanding, yes.
all right, no problem.
Yeah, I'll get back to you on it. Is there any other questions?
And you can assume there's no other question, right? So if you have further questions to what has been discussed so far, you can just either send a mail to us or reach out to me directly, and we'll be glad to answer your questions. We have questionnaires available for this. We have a data sheet too that we can also share with you. And we rest assured that you're going to get the recording of this session so that you can also revise on what I've been taught so far. Just Annika, I don't know if you want to make your final comment on this before we end the presentation, before we end this session.
Awesome. Okay,
Annika.
so I believe that what has been demonstrated and presented, like you've been able to gain more knowledge or have more information on the ManageEngine flagship solutions. So in any case, whereby you have any customers that request for endpoint management, so you can pitch ManageEngine Endpoint Central because it has a lot of functionalities. And also for your IAM solutions, you can also pitch the PAM 360 and PD360 as this solution speaks to IAM. So there are lots of opportunities for these two solutions, a lot of opportunities, because most of the organizations, they have endpoints, they have APs in their environment. So they actually need to manage all those processes. They need to automate all those processes. So manual management is no longer in vogue and it's very tedious and tiring. So there should be a tool that can help them manage and pull out or generate reports, executive reports that they can look into for an informed decision. So our ManageEngine has all these capabilities that I just mentioned. The beauty of it too is the price. If an application does everything and is very expensive, nobody would purchase that. But ManageEngine is very, very affordable compared to the other competitors like Microsoft and the like. So it's very, very affordable. For PAM 360, CyberArk and the like, so ManageEngine is very affordable. So that will also be your, let's say, what's the word? That's what you're also going to use to convince your customers in going for ManageEngine Solutions. Thank you. Then in case of any questions or if you have customers and you don't know how to demo it or you don't even know how to present it, you can always come to us and our team would be the ones to handle your presentations, your demonstrations, and also POCs. POCs is when they would like to see if this is working. This is Nigeria. This is not like white people that you tell them that this is what this application can do, and they just go straight and purchase that. Nigerians would like to see it. Show me that it's working. I would like to see it before I would invest my money into it. So the trial period, the 30 days trial period is what we are going to implement for the clients, do the setup for like few days, and they would have like 20 something days left to try out that product. So you can also do that for you if you have any client that requires the POC setup in the environment. Thank you. Do you have any question?
Thank you, Anuika, for that brief or final note on this. Sincerely, I must say that it was really an insightful session. And I believe that we've been able to know that Endpoint Center has two platforms, the security and the management platform. And we can as well start selling the solution. Okay, I think there is a question. Someone raised his hand, want to ask a question.
Yes, number one, thank you for the lecture. That was great. That was a great insight. I really appreciate it. Number two, yes, I've come to understand that there's a management solutions and also there's a security solutions when it comes to this endpoint solution. Then you said something very profound. The issue of clients want to see what will be the outcome before they can make commitments. And most of the time, that's a big challenge, The challenge is this, most of the time, when clients go through that route, most of the time is either they want to do it by themselves or they want to stop the service. So on such scenario, what do you do? Because in those kind of scenario, number one, you put in an effort, you put it on resources to get that run. But at the end of the day, because clients believe that it can also do it from that point. So in such scenario, what do you expect the partner to do?
Sorry, I didn't get that question. You said you started an opportunity and the client wants to.
Yes, you started an opportunity, number one. Two, then the client said, okay, can you give me a trial for 1 month, like you just mentioned? And you end up setting up those stuff, using resources and all that, and set up those stuff for the client, and there's something kick off and start running. And before that month expire or before then, and the client decide to either want to do it by himself or to decline. So on such scenario, what would a partner do?
From our hand or from our own point of relationship with client, right? We usually give 30 days trial, right, to clients, and it's actually free. And when we are configuring those, when we are configuring in the client environment, we don't do a full-blown deployment, right? If you wanted to run a POC, let me just give you an instance. I can just put it in a simple scenario, right? You are selling you're selling food, or let me give a very clear scenario that everybody experienced, right? You go to places like Abuja, you want to buy kilishi, they can't give you all the food, all the kilishi, they only give you a certain part to test. Then you will now buy, right? So if you are engaging a client on a POC, a POC, is there certain numbers of endpoint, in the case of if the solution speaks to endpoint, that you configure, right? You cannot just configure the required numbers of endpoint that the client wanted to buy. If the client is looking at 200 endpoints to be monitored, and you wanted to run a POC, you are expected to do a configuration on at least five. Whoever that wants to test it will test the solution using those 5 endpoints. So that is how we operate in-house. Once that is done, if the client now wants to go ahead and make purchase, then you can now do configuration on other devices or endpoint as the case may be. So you're not expected to do a full-blown deployment in a client environment when you are running a POC, right? So if a client wants to go ahead and purchase without reaching out to you, the client also needs to configure the other system, which I know that it will be very, very difficult for them to. And you should also advise them that the implication of having to deploy or configure this thing themselves, because the solution might be very okay, but if it is wrongly configured or implemented, it becomes an issue. And they will now say the solution is not actually fine. But because it was actually wrongly implemented, that could lead to such kind of cases. So I don't know if I've been able to answer your question.
You've answered my questions. So, but the other one I was expecting you, based on what you just said now, that most times maybe wrongly configured, and most of the time, like we said, client might want to handle it by himself. If he feels that it's something he can handle, maybe is a IT compliance or is an IT literate that understands system a little bit, he might want
Yes,
to take the advantage.
I can attest to that scenario where clients want to. In fact, we've experienced it many times.
Exactly.
Want to implement themselves. I understand why the reason why they are doing that, because the management will also tell them that, are you not an IT department? Why are you paying someone?
Yes,
exactly. But at the end of the day, they still come back to start having challenge in terms of the solution because it was wrongly deployed. In the light of this, we've had series of cases like this where the client will now send a mail complaining about the solution, whereas it was actually wrongly deployed. So I think you as a vendor should be in the right position to advise the client, right? And this advice most times should, apart from a word of advice, it's also important that you make a formal advice, a written advice, so that, because at the end of the day, when such kind of incident happen, or cases happen where the solution is giving issues, you can as well refer back to the advice you are giving them, black and white advice you are giving to them, so that you will not be found wanted when things like this happen. Because at the end of the day, it will be more like you are the one that sold the solution to them, and the solution is not working. Most times, it's advised that you give a written note to the stakeholders. Let them know the disadvantage and whatever things that will happen if they went ahead to go and implement a solution without letting the proper person or the expert to do such. So that's what I can actually advise. We have cases like that. It's not actually new. We have such kind of cases where we have. I want to save costs.
Yeah, thank you. Now, my second question is there a way, like take for instance now, based on those user securities and those creating users, is there a way that you as a partner deploying the solution to the customer end, is there a way you can create a login path for yourself whereby you can restrict some things that will not allow users, maybe let's assume the users have not paid, just like a statement you mentioned earlier, users has not paid. Then you are running a demo for him to see, or you are running a trial version for him to see. Just because you want to avoid this kind of situation that normally occur oftentimes. So is there a way you can create a privileged password for yourself that will not give the user that is yet to pay or commit himself for the project some restriction for him not to grant access to, pending when he wants to pay? Because I think that will also give you a kind of sense of measurement that the client wanted to override you or wanted to bypass you or wanted to sideline you or something. Is there something like that?
Well, so in this case, it's not a live license, it's a trial license.
Yes.
And I don't think it requires that. It's just a license that will expire in 30 days. And the clients, all they just need is for them to use that license, and for 30 days. We are not charging for that. Right?
And nobody's charging for that. What we are saying that once they are done with the 30 days, they will say, okay, fine, they love it and they want to do it. But because they've seen that, okay, it's simple, is okay, it's user-friendly, so they want to take that advantage to say, okay, let me do it by myself. Let me just pay for the license. Let me just do it by myself.
Yes, that still goes back to what I said earlier. That
Okay.
if you are configuring a POC in a client's environment, you're not expected to configure all their workstations.
Exactly.
So once you do a workstation, you do a configuration for 3 or 5 endpoints. Then you allow them to test with that, right? So imagine if you have done for 3. So who is going to do for the many 200 devices that they want to approach? They're definitely going to come back to you to do that. So that is when you now request for your implementation cost and the rest. So that's just what I said earlier.
Okay. Okay. No problem. Thank you. I guess my name is wrongly spelled on your database.
Yeah, I see that. I see that.
My name is
I
wrongly
see that.
spelled
I
on
think
the database.
we'll make changes on that.
Okay. Thank you. You've answered my question so far.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So I think that will be the last question. And I want to thank every one of us for joining this session. That have joined. Appreciate your commitment. We appreciate your time. We believe that with this we can work things together and also get to where we are going to in terms of revenues level. We just have one more day to go, which is for the ITSM solution. Please feel free to join tomorrow, and it promises to be a very insightful session again, just as today is. We're going to send the recording of this session to you, just for you to revise on whatever thing that have been taught. Thank you very much. Have a lovely day ahead. Thank you. Bye for now.